The 985. Let's start off with the cover page or the color page, and we have Luffy, Kid, and Law. And honestly, one of the things that I love about this color spread is that it's so simple. Across the board, sometimes what you can find with Oda's color spreads is that they can be a little bit too overproduced, in the sense that you have too many characters, too much going on. So overall, this is a very simple color spread, and I really do like it for its simplicity. And the other funny part is, I think I really do think that Luffy stole Kid's onigiri, so that's kind of fun. In any case, Law wants to be the odd one out, but he is feeding the birds. He is feeding the birds, so that's cool. Oh man, my voice is fucking short. In any case, I do like this color spread a lot, and the fact that we have Luffy, Law, and Kid in this color spread is, a momentous occasion, because I feel like these three characters, they're intrinsically tied since the auction house in Shabodi Archipelago. That's calm. I don't really mind that. And in any case, Luffy and Kid have history together in Udon. They did time together. When you go to prison, right? Well, I can't speak like I've been to prison, but the people that go to prison, right? When they go to prison, they form a bond, right? And because they form a bond in prison, that's like, yeah, I did time with that guy. That's my bro. We did time together. So Luffy and Kid did time together, and Law was in a different detention facility with Hawkins, so that's calm. In any case, all three of them are prisoners of war, or warring prisoners. Let's move on to the chapter. We start off with the re-entrance of Onigashima, and man, this. First of all, let's talk about the atmosphere. The immediate use of snow. We know that Onigashima is a winter island, number one, but also you can just imagine the atmosphere in the anime, how this is all gonna pan out, how this is all gonna look. And I don't want to hop on the anime when I'm talking about the manga, but that's just now that I'm forced to convey all my thoughts. That's what's come to mind. Moving on, we have, as the samurai and the alliance go through the back entrance, Kanjuro, he realizes, he knows better than anyone that the Scabbards are a persistent bunch. They are tenacious as hell, and he's saying to them that I knew you'd come. I had faith in you. I had more faith. He's like, he's basically saying that I had faith in you to come, even though you hate me. But that's fun. In any case, we have an assortment of characters with this, right? We have Kiku, Raizo, Inuarashi, Nekomamushi, Kawamatsu, and Izo. All of these characters are ready, and the one thing that I do want to call attention to, and there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to call attention to, is number one, the dialogue. So start off with, for example, Izo saying, samurai warriors with their heads cut off, very artful of you. So number one, he's drawing a connection to how amazing the art that Raizo has. Kanjuro, how amazing his art is right now. And the fact that they're all headless plays into another motif that we're going to get into later in the chapter, but I do want to call attention to how early on, this is the first page, and Oda is immediately, or the second page, but Oda is immediately drawing, he's setting up and sewing these threads together, and there's many threads that he's sewing together within this chapter. It's really a masterpiece of a chapter, regardless of how you feel of some of the events that happen in this chapter. On top of that, right across that, we have another panel where Raizo goes, well, we have not lost our heads, release Lord Momonosuke at once. And, Kanjuro elaborates on this, and he says that Momonosuke is he did what he had to do, but he's with Kaido and he's gonna die immediately. So the other thing is that specific line of "we have not lost our heads," right? I can't help but just laugh now, because unless you read the chapter like multiple times, and this is something that Oda did intentionally in the Raw, that he says we have not lost our heads. Oh man, so you can see how he's weaving these threads, and this is what I'm referring to specifically in this chapter, of how masterful Oda has been the entire time with this chapter. More than anything, the other part of this specific chapter that I do want to call attention to is Kiku right now. So Kiku, she starts to cry as she hears what happened to Momonosuke. And I want to bring attention to this right now, because I'm going to elaborate on it towards the end of the chapter. But you realize that Kiku is immediately the first one to action, right? And throughout this entire chapter, she's being driven by her emotions and her entire and what's interesting is, yes, they all have a bond together. They have a huge bond together, 20 years worth. But she's the one who makes the first move, and she's the one that is going after Kanjuro. So I do find that to be something to noteworthy. And not only that, she did spend quite a bit of time with Momo across, on their adventures in Wano. Now, the other part of this chapter that I do find interesting is that, so we have Inuarashi and Nekomamushi, they quiz each other on their new weapons. And if anything, I would say that if someone was to hold a grudge, these two should hold a very strong grudge as well against Kanjuro, because Kanjuro was the whole reason why Zou was attacked and their entire history was destroyed, and they lost their arms and legs, and like that entire arc and what happened is a result of Kanjuro's treachery. So when I look at that, when I see that, I'm surprised that they have it in them to laugh amongst each other at this critical time. But in saying that, once they get ready to go, Nekomamushi is pretty pissed off. Well, he does look pretty pissed off. We can't say, if he is. But I do like that specific panel where Nekomamushi is angry and Izo's got his gun. He looks like a Japanese cowboy samurai. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a really nice panel. Other than that, as we go on, we have that clash, and we get the explanation between Inu and Neko about the weapons, and they're kind of complimenting each other, and I do enjoy their little rivalry, and their, as a result of everything, I think their relationship has mended, even though they've gone through a lot of disparity and despair together. More than anything, I do like these characters as a whole. Now, as we move on to the next part of the chapter, we have Yamato and Luffy. Now, this is one of the most interesting parts just to dissect, right? So, what I do find interesting about this specifically is that Yamato has mythologized and idolized Kaido so much that Kaido has not Kaido, my bad, Oden, my bad, Oden. She's mythologized and idolized Oden so much that he's become a legendary figure to her, right? It's something where you aspire yourself to be like that person so much, and as a result, everything will become a comparison to that standard, right? So you take an example, You take the example of where she says, as Kozuki Odin, or for example, the dress, right? Yamato's dress is modeled after Odin, and the dress is so she can feel like Odin, and she can also behave like Odin in her aspirations as well. And I find that really interesting because even though Kaido is a pirate, she knows the difference that Kaido stood against Yamato, and oh my god, not Yamato. Kaido stood against Odin, and since Kaido stood against Odin, that's not the type of pirate she looks up to. If anything, Odin is guiding every aspect of her mannerisms, and when someone like Luffy, who is closer to Odin, manages to essentially be Odin, in the sense that he's a free man and he's a pirate and he's trying to take down Kaido, which is something that Odin did. She refers to Luffy as being more Odin than me. So that's all I wanted to bring attention to. The other part that I wanted to bring attention to also was that Yamato wants to sail with Ace, and Yamato was imprisoned on the island. So there's two things we can take away from this. Perhaps that she wants to sail with Ace because Odin wanted to be a free man, and leave Wano and sail the seas. So that's why he joined Whitebeard's ship, and Ace was on Whitebeard's ship, and it made sense to her at that time that she wanted to sail with Ace because he was part of Whitebeard's ship. And as things worked out, that didn't happen, but the responsibility now falls on Luffy to take Ace's place. And that's actually going to be really interesting because now Luffy is trying to be the Pirate King, and he's such a great candidate for Yamato to join the crew. Now we also get some more discussion regarding Kaido and how bad of a father he is, because he told her, yeah, your cuffs are gonna blow up, and he doesn't mind killing her, and she's questioning it. She's like, this man is crazy. How can he allow me to die? But then she's like, yeah, I know how he is. It's nothing new. But because of that, when Luffy questions her and questions Yamato and says, I'm gonna beat your daddy up, yeah, I'm gonna whoop his ass, and then Yamato just acknowledges it and says, yeah, I would love to do the same thing too. I have a big grudge against him as well. So I think that Yamato and Luffy will bond a lot more together as they continue to work together. That's something that I am looking forward to. And now we move on to one of the main highlights of the entire chapter, which is Kaido's speech. And Kaido, if anything, there's one man that he's been idolizing since he was introduced, and that's Whitebeard. And he starts off this speech the same way he started his speech in chapter 795, where he talks about the Paramount War and Whitebeard, and now he's like, Whitebeard managed to churn all these, do all these things in the Paramount War, the Marineford War, and finally things are starting to move. The seven warlords, were disbanded, but now the reality of the situation is that the Navy thinks they're confident. They reckon they can take us on, is what he's saying, and they're getting arrogant. And as a result of that arrogance, we have to put them in their place. And what does he do? He said he reveals, yeah, we decided to join hands with Big Mom Pirates, and our aim is to seize the greatest power, which is the ancient weapon. Now, when I looked at this, I found a few possibilities in my eyes, right? In my eyes, there is the possibility that it's Shirahoshi, and the possibility that either Kaido and Big Mom have access to Pluton or know how to get Pluton. Now, I will leave that Pluton discussion to one side and focus on Poseidon for a second. Poseidon, we know, is uh, Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi is from Fishman Island. Fishman Island used to be under Big Mom's territory, and we know Big Mom is an intelligence legend. She has access to a lot of intelligence, and she knows things. Knowledge is power, and for her, with Fishman Island under her protectorate, it's possible that she has eyes and ears in places where nobody has eyes and ears. And with that, there's a chance that she has become aware that Shirahoshi is Poseidon. And that's something that she could come to the table with to Kaido. On the flip side, we know that Caribou also found out that Shirahoshi is Poseidon, and he was intending to tell us that as someone that was a big deal to him, right? Whether it was Big News Morgans or otherwise, we don't know. And that's just me being coy about that. But in any case, we know that Caribou was captured and he wasn't released, and overall it didn't seem like that information escaped from him, but Kaido had a pathway to that knowledge himself. And since Kaido has a pathway to that knowledge, since Kaido has a pathway to that knowledge, I find that it could be a possibility that he knows about that. As for Pluton, I will leave that to speculation. And in the same sense that Uranus could be a speculation. That's just my view on this specifically. And the next part of the chapter we have, is Big Mom's coming out of nowhere, I guess, and saying, "Oh, you were calling for me," and this is where we get the, I guess, surprise. Not really a surprise, but we find out that Zeus has been captured, Prometheus is there, and Big Mom has finished making all her lanterns and furniture souls and all of that stuff, and they're essentially her own little army of lifelike beings that I don't know how they're going to play into the arc, but clearly it's something that Oda has been wanting to do, and I'm not surprised by it at all. We do see that Nami and Carrot have been captured, and Robin and Jinbei are surprised by that. So maybe we're going to have more to do with that in terms of maybe a rescue, and this is something that I wanted to bring up for myself. This is something that I wanted to bring up for myself, which is the possibility of a Big Mom versus Brook rematch. That's what I am looking forward to the most. Well, I can't say I'm looking forward to the most, but that's something that I would love to see. That is something I would love to see. And more than anything, I think Big Mom has a grudge against Brook specifically. So what's it called? Big Mom has a grudge against Brook specifically, and as a result of that, I would love to see Big Mom play that specific role, and Brook to have that moment in this arc. I think the fans would love it too. I don't know if Oda expected the sort of reaction that he got when he set up those battles. Now, the one line that I do like from this chapter is Kaido saying, "Listen up, people, we're putting our weight into the piracy business at long last." And one of the reasons why I like that chapter is because it really speaks to the state of things, of the state of the One Piece world. So, like, throughout the entire series up until a certain point, which is things have always been about maintaining a balance. Things have always been about uh, ensuring that no one government entity could be superior, or no, not government entity, but no one power could be superior over the other. So the Marines can't be superior over the pirates. The pirates uh, will always struggle amongst each other, and the Marines and the warlords. So that system that they created, it's meant to feed into each other, so that all of it, nobody progresses. So with the change and the warlord system being taken out, and there's a new power coming in, the question that I have for myself is, what did these government sanctioned pirates stop Big Mom and Kaido from doing that they already couldn't do? That's the question that I have. Because I understand that there's seven pirates and they have a role to play and all of that, but and their crimes are forgiven in the eyes of the government. But at the end of the day, they are a stopgap. But what power do they have apart from like stopping the people that don't matter? And it's not like the warlords themselves would risk themselves to stop a Kaido or a Big Mom, for example. But I am interested to see at the end of the day what the government has in store for for the pirates. But now we move on to the declaration of war, which is quite the phenomenal line, which is, we're going to claim the One Piece. Big Mom and Kaido proclaim that together, and they have the idea of using the ancient weapons to control the world, to use it for violence, and immediately that Luffy is pissed off. He's like, yeah, nah, that's what I'm gonna get. Yeah, you have no right to even suggest that. Okay, but the next part of this chapter is something that I was reading it specifically. It really caught my attention, and I couldn't help but be amazed, because as it's amazing because Kaido already knew what he was going to do before he even did anything. Man, I don't know if you want to call that future sight, but that's some future sight shit, right? He tells followers, he's like, followers of Orochi, you must decide now. He's like, use, long story short, he's telling them, you have to use Wano as a resource and turn this country in its entirety, including the Flower Capital, into a lawless pirate safe haven. And when he says that, Orochi immediately flips the switch, and without beating a sweat, his Kaido decides, yeah, I'm gonna slash. He decides, I'm gonna kill Orochi, and that's exactly what he does. And King just is like, yeah, I already know what you're gonna do. He gives him the sword, and it was done. It was done. And like, there's a lot of surprises that Oda can have for us in store. And this is where I want to go back to the parallels, right? The parallels of a traitor being betrayed when he betrayed someone who was good to him, right? So you see, you reap what you sow. So there's an argument for why this man could be dead, but there's a very solid argument for why he could be alive. Because thematically, when you look at this motif, right, traitors never prosper, right? So you have Orochi, who Oden was very kind to. Oden took care of him. Oden gave him what he needed, but he betrayed him for a meaningless grudge. And now, when he's thought of himself as the top power, oh yeah, I'm the Shogun, I'm Orochi, I'm this, I'm that, the very same pirate that he used to seize power with is the one that betrayed him. And now he's dead, so and so, quote unquote. More than that, we have Kaido's declaration where he says that the meaningless squabbles of the Korozumi clan and the Kozuki clan, they're nothing. They don't mean anything. They're meaningless. That's just something that you're gonna have to deal with. And like when you think about it, Kaido was a true pirate, right? Well, you know, in the sense of how you would view a threat like Kaido, he's starting to live up to that level, right? Because he's saying, I'm a pirate. I decide what I want to do. I decide where I want to, a pirate betrays and trusts as he wills. And what's funny is, I think Big Mom knows that, right? Big Mom, she enters an alliance with Kaido whilst watching Kaido kill his allied member. But because she's a pirate, she's just laughing it off, right? Because she knows we're not bureaucrats, we're pirates, and this is the nature of the game. So that's how it is, right? And now Luffy sees Momo. He starts making a ruckus, and we get a continuation of Kaido's speech where he says, "Yeah, you must decide, join us or die," which is what he said before Orochi interrupted. You have a choice. So the implication right there immediately was, you join us or you die, like the same way Orochi did, and Oda visualized it for them so that they could never forget. And then, Oda declares, Kaido declares that they're going to start raiding the flower capital and the entire country, and Wano is going to become new Onigashima, and its shogun is going to be Yamato, and Yamato is absolutely pissed off at that. And meanwhile, Luffy doesn't care about the squabbles of a parent and a child. He's telling Yamato, "Take me to Kaido. I want to save Momo. That's all I care about." And it's quite the fascinating chapter. Absolutely phenomenal. I loved it. I loved it, man. Yeah. All right, and now I can chill and read my comments, right? Yeah, rip to the muted mic. That has been my review. I put a lot of work into this, maybe triple of what I needed to do. But yeah, shout out the muted mic. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm gonna wrap it up there, and I'm gonna trim this up, cut it up nicely, and yeah, I'll catch you guys soon.